Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/ask Reddit by Reddit refills. Redditors who do not have a romantic how we first met story with your significant other. How did you meet? Working at a residential treatment center for emotionally disturbed adolescents. There was a riot on campus. It took 2 shifts of staff to get the kids quieted down and back in bed. We were supposed to get off work at 11 PM but were there until 1 AM. Guy I was working with was friends with my roommate. So after we got off, I said I'm going home to get drunk. Want to come? That was 42 years ago. We've been married for 37 years and have 2 adult children. Why'd they riot? Because they were all bros and were setting up the 2 now spouses. My folks met when they ran for cover in the same spot during a drive-by shooting. Salvadoran here. A whole bunch of people from my parents' generation have similar stories. When your country is undergoing a civil war, it turns out that a lot of people meet covering from bullets. Maybe because our brain sometimes confuses fear for attraction. He was drunk. An acquaintance and I went to pick him and another friend up to go out to a club. We've been together almost 15 and 1/2 years, married 13. Even his proposal was not very romantic. We were in our backyard getting ready to barbecue and he asked me if I would marry him. First thing out of my mouth was, "Are you sure? It totally works for us though. At least you didn't set yourself in fire accidentally after you proposed. Took months for the grass and hair to grow back." What? Not me but an old friend. Back in the 70s. My friend Shirley was at a bar late one night making a phone call in the back room on a payphone. And some drunk a-hole came stumbling in and took the phone from her. Hung it up. Then proceeded to make a call to someone else. She stood back and smacked him in the face. He fell flat on the floor and busted out laughing. That's how they met. A short bar fight I suppose, lol. I always loved hearing that story when I drank with them. She passed away a few years back and was a very sweet woman. That definitely is not romantic, but wow, what an unlikely marriage, lol. I met my wife in 1989. In psychiatric hospital. Married for 29 years now. Edit. Spelling. Now we need to know. Why were you guys in a psychiatric hospital? They were crazy for each other. Have same first name and last names, 1 letter off. Keep getting each other's mail. You've got mail part 2. Electric Boogaloo. Craigslist. I was new in town. Didn't know many people. I put an ad up looking for someone to go explore and do weird shit, like put googly eyes on things. She answered. We emailed back and forth a few times. Met. Hung out. It was really relaxed. Then about 3 weeks later we realized it was more than that. Damn, you found a lover on Craigslist. Meanwhile I can't even find a good quality sale. Meanwhile I can't buy a Wii game without getting stabbed. Met at a homeless shelter. We hit it off. Got back on our feet. Got a place together. Getting married. Edit. It never seemed a romantic situation to me. We met in a homeless shelter isn't exactly something we tell people openly. You found love in a homeless place. Dumpster diving in the night. And we're standing side by side. As your shadow crosses mine. What it takes to come alive. Online gaming. I lashed out publicly because I was emotional and they sent a message apologizing because they genuinely thought it was their fault I was angry. I cried. We talked. And we started talking because guildies were supposed to get along. Added my wife on Facebook 11 years ago because I thought she was hot. She popped up in a friend's pictures and I was like, damn. Nice, and now I wake up in the same bed as her and I say damn. Nice every single day. Damn. Nice. I can just imagine you seeing your wife showering in the morning while you're brushing your teeth. You look back into the mirror and see her hazy shadow lathering up in the shower behind you and you let out a mumbled damn. Nice. My now wife got shit-faced at New Year's Day party and confessed her crush on me. She then persistently tried to coerce a very sober and uncomfortable me to sleep with her, which I declined. Called her the next day and asked her on a proper date. That was almost 7 years ago and we've been happily married 3 years. How did you know each other before the New Year's? They belong to a club of serial killers who celebrate New Year's Day instead of Eve. I was the DD for the night at the local club. It was getting late and everyone wanted to party more. I was getting hungry. Outside the club this guy always had his hot dog cart set up, so I went outside to get a couple. The club didn't allow outside food or drink, so I just sat on the curb. She came out drunk as a skunk with her friends. Took a few steps then puked on me. My hot dogs got ruined too. Her friends really weren't in any condition to drive either, so I called an Uber and asked him to let me know they got home safe. She called the next day incredibly apologetic and asked to make it up to me. She showed up to the restaurant with a new shirt and a pack of Franks. Laughed hysterically. Got talking and here we are. I always say she had a very unique method of picking me. Edit 1. Since so many asked, I gave her Uber my number asking for verification that they got home fine. He just told them to call me and gave them my number. Guess how she had it. Edit 2. Franks are hot dogs. She brought replacement hot dogs for the ones she defiled. Outside the club this guy always had his hot dog cart set up, so I went outside to get a couple. Thought this would end better for the hot dog vendor. Me too. Met my GF at a New Year's Eve party. We were both super drunk. I may have blurted out my life story too. I came back with her to her apartment. After sobering up, I decided to get naked and crawl into her bathtub. I passed out, but woke up with a blanket on me and a pillow under my head. She sent me a message asking if I was okay. I asked her out for coffee. The rest is history, I guess. After sobering up, I decided to get naked and crawl into her bathtub. I have to question your level of sobriety at this point. So you get into the tub with all your clothes on? SMH. At work, she was really shy and I thought she wanted to murder me. I still think that. But at least now she has my life insurance. I don't know why, but sadly my wife never appreciates that joke. My wife just dumps more mercury in my cereal when I make the joke. I was donating blood and I hit it off with the lady next to me. She seemed to like my weird sense of humor and I think our blood bags touched. You still have the glove? Michael Scott. She tripped on the gutter, while everyone around her helped her. I just stood there trying to contain my laugh. She still tells this story to other people up to this day. She tripped and you fell. That's romantic. Disqualified. Disqualified. I was eating tacos in a mall food court. He walked by me and I thought he was cute, but then I started choking on my taco and he looked at me weird and walked away. My friend with me went and got his number for me. 7 years ago. He told me he thought I was laughing at him. Thanks Taco Bell. Met my husband on Plenty of Fish. I had an account my friend and I used to troll people when we were bored. Used my own picture, and he seemed decent, so I told him what was up with my account. He thought it was funny and asked me on a date. Day we scheduled to meet up, my appendix exploded and was in the ICU for 2 weeks. Okay. Rescheduled once I got home. His GPS directed him to my house by driving through a river. We lived in Florida at the time, so mud, crackheads and alligators were a concern. Police had to come save him and escorted him to my house. We still laugh about it. Edit. I'm on mobile and new to Reddit, so hopefully this doesn't look like shit. I wasn't expecting this to blow up. Your comments are great. He's from Canada and was new to Florida, so the day we met was a very wild ride for him. He didn't drive into the river. He stopped and got his car stuck in the mud when he realized that the road was ending. I should have been more specific. Edit 2. Thank you stranger for my first silver. Edit 3. Since some people doesn't know how to use context clues, the trolling was given to the creepy predatory people. Nobody innocent was trolled. You all can stop crying now. Sorry if rude. The GPS directed him through a river. Was he the regional manager of a branch of a mid-sized paper company by chance? The machine knows. My wife and I met on OkCupid. I used to feel kind of embarrassed about this until I realized that now there are married couples out there who met on Tinder. Who knows, in a few more years Tinder will probably seem old-fashioned. And all the young people will be meeting up on findasetofgenitals.com. I met my wife on Craigslist. I'm not embarrassed by finding love to line. But I am still embarrassed that it was Craigslist. Same for us. At this point we're too deep in the we met through mutual friends lie to our family. I'm just thankful they never ask who our mutuals friends are. Match.com. She sent me an email and I waited a day to decide if the $20 commitment was worth it. It was, and we've been married a little over a decade. Did you get your $20 back? Nah. But I tell my wife she rates top 8 things I've spent $20 on. We both joined a group to play D&D together. He was a halfling rogue. I was a human barbarian. In the first session he climbed on my shoulders to spear some foe in the throat, and then on my next turn I attempted to assist him up onto the roof of the small hut next to us. I rolled a natural 1 and basically punted him into a wall for some ridiculous amount of damage. Oops. We've been married for 5 years and have 2 kids, well, almost. I'm very pregnant right now. He was a halfling rogue. I was a human barbarian. Can I make it any more obvious? He was a thief. She did melee. My parents have a pretty great one. My mom was a 19-year-old intern at this big company. She was tasked with inventorying a warehouse. She found a box of screws with no part number. She asked around for days. Nobody knew anything about these screws. She was getting frustrated. Finally, somebody directed her to go see this particular guy who was kind of famous for being a reclusive, if brilliant donghead. She walks into his office, holds up a screw, and asks him, I've asked everybody. No one knows. What is this? My dad looks at her and says, absolutely deadpan, it's a screw. She called him an a-hole and stormed out. They were married 5 years later. Their 40th wedding anniversary is next August. They also got engaged in a Taco Bell. My parents are great at not romantic stuff. Find out if she saved it. The screw that led to you. We met online and didn't plan to exactly be in a relationship. Accidentally ended up married. Oops. Same. Looking online for a random hookup. His profile mentioned awkward first date sex. Asked him how I sign up for this kind of date. He told me I just did. That was 10 years ago, married for 5. Side note. He didn't put out until date 4 or 5. So that was a lie. Lol. Lol. I misread it at first and thought you said he didn't pull out until date 4 or 5. I don't remember meeting my husband. I was a freshman in high school and it was during band camp. I got a text from him one night and pretended to know who he was because I was too embarrassed that I didn't know everyone's names yet. Edit. We actually took a couple wedding pictures on the field where we met because we're nerds. Have you figured out his name yet? If not, take him to Starbucks also. If you're about to marry him, pay attention to the priest. Usually they call them out by their name when asking for the vows. Not me, but one of my friends told me about how their parents knew a couple who found each other around the bin truck. So basically one day a guy went to take back his metal can from the street, but there was a big problem. The garbage worker had accidentally made a tear in the bin bag and ripped it open, spreading shits everywhere on the pavement. So next week the upset man waited for the same workers to show up to get some explanations. Turns out that garbage worker was in fact a woman of the same age, which was really rare in those times. 70s 80s. Charmed by her uniqueness, the dude decided to share numbers. They dated and we all know the rest. Not the nicest way to meet someone if you ask me, haha, but quite a nice story. Edit. Sup Redify. In this thread, a lot of stories that are actually pretty cute. That's because if it works out, everything seems cute in retrospect. A girl puked into my popcorn at a baseball game and then stole my hamburger. I never saw her again. What a beach. But if she bumped into you at the next home game, bought you a replacement popcorn and hamburger, and now you're married with 4 kids, people say it's cute. We had Spanish class together and we were both shy. So when we picked partners for projects assignments, we were always the last 2 who didn't have partners. Man, he said, not romantic stuff. That is adorable. Tinder. Maybe one day I'll tell my parents, but the friend of a friend story has worked well enough so far. That's exactly what I've told my mom. I always go with the sweet lovey-dovey story that my husband and I have been best friends since we were 11 and 12. The truth is, the first day I met him I choked him out. He was sitting behind a couch with his back to the couch. And I reached over the back and grabbed him. I don't know why I did that. Just a stupid kid thing I guess. But apparently it worked. We are 28 now and have been married for 3 of those years. Even though we have been a couple since 17 and 18. My husband and I met working our shittiest job ever. Walmart. Badminton class in college. I was beating him badly. He finally realized I was a competitive freak and not some little girl who didn't care if she won or not. My dating litmus has always been like this. Especially air hockey. I'm a competitive man. I don't mind losing. But show me what you got. Don't play embarrassed. Or half-assed. Play to win. Much more fun that way regardless of who the victor is. Nothing hotter than a self-confident. Go get a woman. Nothing hotter than a self-confident. Go get a woman. Damn right. Serious about her work and fun to hang out with. He was my mom's upstairs neighbor and my mom forbid me from hanging with him as she was sure he was a bad influence. I was staying with her for a bit. 13 years and 2 kids later. We're all a big happy family. The way you phrased this makes him sound substantially older tbh. Edit. I was right. Apparently. Honestly. At the time our nearly 10-year age difference felt bigger than it did now. I was an adult by all means. But still had a lot of maturing to do. She first met me while dating my best friend and I was with another girl at the time. Years later. My best friend convinced me to hang out with her. Called her up and invited her to Buffalo Wild Wings where he and I were hanging out. Since we had both already eaten, we walked across the parking lot to a bar. I played darts with friends while drinking and talking to her a bit. Then after the bar closed, we went back to our cars. Started making out. Decided there wasn't enough room inside. And ducked with her bent over the hood of my car in Buffalo Wild Wings parking lot at 4 AM. It was a magical night we'll tell our grandchildren about one day. I assume this is a tourism ad for New Jersey. Nah, Northern Indiana. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.